if I'm listening to anything, it's songs that have a lot of anger in them. Some of the songs are very patriotic in nature, which I don't tend to listen to.
Who gives a about music right now?
You can't say a word. You can't even like do something where you rally your artist to make a song for something, like, I don't know, anything. Instead, you have one of your artists singing for the French government, and y'all just instead post on your Instagram story the French flag, the Lebanese flag, and you tag Emmanuel Macron. Bruh.
Yeah. Bruh, indeed. Bruh, indeed.
And you're
Also,
out here. Oh no, I'm not done. I'm not done.
oh,
I'm standing on business, Dina.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back to Shik Shak Shook Ones, everybody. I am one half of your dynamic duo, Danny, and I'm joined by my homie in life, Deana. What's up, Deana?
yeah, feeling very weird. Happy to be back recording this episode. We've taken a bit of a break. We just want to acknowledge what's been going on, and not many people, or maybe people don't know that the afikra family, a lot of them are based in Beirut. Um, so yeah, it's been weird to think about music in the last few weeks. But yeah, feeling good to be back. Just feels a bit different.
Yeah, it definitely feels different. If it has felt weird to think about music, frankly, for the last year in particular, with everything happening in Palestine and everything happening in Sudan and now everything happening in Lebanon. And if y'all didn't know by now, I'm Lebanese, so obviously, uh, feeling pretty impacted. And even then, I'm very privileged because I don't live there. So there's a lot of complicated emotions, a lot of just processing what's happening with friends and family and loved ones. Um, I've not been in a musical mood either, so I'm with you on that, Deana.
Yeah. And do you remember what I said to you in the first ever Shik Shak Shook Ones episode, Danny, about our identity? I'm asking a lot of you here.
What did you say?
Do you remember when I said that I'm excited to dive into our music and actually talk about it in a way that we actually understand the culture and understand the history? And I say because sometimes it's difficult to separate our politics and our past from our music. I feel like that point that I made is so relevant now because I kind of got into journalism and media because I wanted to highlight all the beautiful things about our culture, and music is obviously one of the best ways to do that. Um, and it just feels so crazy that from when we started this podcast to where we are now, it's like more relevant than ever, that it's so difficult to separate who we are, where we come from, our country's baggage and history from our music. And I think that's what we're centering the episode about today. Um, what is our responsibility? What should we be doing to raise awareness and to help people understand what's happening? And yeah, today's going to be quite different to what we've been doing in the past.
Yeah, today you're going to hear a lot of frustration. You're going to hear a lot of emotions. Um, and I think you're going to hear Deana and I process everything with each other live.
Mm,
Um, but before we get into it, I just want to give also a big shout out to the afikra team, um, because I know it's been especially difficult, most of them being in Lebanon. Um, and even recording this episode, Deana and I were like, I don't know, like it really is up to y'all. And they at least encouraged me, and I'm sure Deana, you feel the same way, to just really try to find something to do that where we can put creative energy and put thought into something other than just what feels like endless trauma.
yeah,
So big shout out to them and a lot of love for them.
definitely. I don't even know how to start this, Danny. I don't even know where we go. Usually I'll be like, what are you listening to at the moment? Oh, you know what, actually, yeah. What are you listening to at the moment?
To be honest, Deana, I don't know that I'm listening to much. Um, if I'm listening to anything, it's songs that have a lot of anger in them. Um, some of the songs are very patriotic in nature, which I don't tend to listen to unless it's a time of crisis. Uh, but as far as new music being released or artists releasing new things or whatever, I don't know. I'm not listening to it. And I get that they got to do all that. And I understand it on some level. So it's no harm, no foul. But for me personally, I'm not listening to anything. And I don't know that I can bring myself to listen to anything.
Yeah.
How are you
I'm
feeling?
I'm the same, by the way. Like, maybe in the last 3 weeks, I've just been very disconnected. I think I've like semi-disassociated. Like, I'm just like doing what I need to do, paying the bills, feeding my pets, and like that is just all I'm doing. I haven't even thought about music, which is why I was like, should we postpone this episode so that we can actually like talk about some cool songs or music? But I was like, I agreed with you, Danny, that I think we did need to jump on and definitely talk about it, but music isn't on the radar right now. And actually anything that I have seen from artists has either annoyed me or given me questions. Like,
Talk about it.
I don't know, like it feels a bit weird. And I don't know if it's just because I've been working on some really heavy projects and seen like some really horrible footage, so it's kind of like stuck in my mind. I don't find it easy to disconnect from work. Um, but it just feels weird. Like I sometimes see posts where it's like, oh, I have a new single out. Then it's like a random post about Lebanon or Gaza or Sudan, which almost feels a bit performative so that they can continue promoting their music. And it's not like to say that I haven't posted about my life and that you should only be posting about, what's happening. But I just feel like very, who gives a beep about music right now? Who cares about like this single that's like a party vibe right now when it's feeling very what's the word? It's feeling very negative. It's like difficult to be ignored for a year or 74 years in the case of the Palestinians. And then
76, 76.
76, thank you very much. But it feels weird. Like I don't know, I just don't feel like it's the time where we can just forget about what's happening and try and carry on. I feel like how long do we need to watch our people suffer for? And how much more do we need to prove that we are human and deserve help? And that's why I feel like music is not even on my radar at the moment. It's not, like I almost don't care, which is crazy.
You when you say you disassociate, you mean you disassociate with music? Because I don't think you've disassociated with like what's going on.
No, with music, like I'm not, and that's all we talk about. Like obviously we have a friendship, but like we're always like, have you heard about this? Have you seen this? And I just feel like a bit disconnected.
I think what's bothered me, honestly, I'm starting to feel a little annoyed by certain artists and certain things happening where it's very clear that a lot of artists tap into Arab identity, or even you can get even more specific, whether it's like Palestinian, Jordanian, Lebanese, Iraqi, Tunisian, whatever identity, pick one. They tap into that, they tap into the culture, they tap into the language, they tap into all these things. They get positioned as global superstars, but then do nothing or don't talk about it or tap out when it's inconvenient for them. You can't tap in and tap out of culture and identity when you're using it constantly in your marketing and your promotion and how you position yourself as an artist, because it's people are going to notice. Okay, I'm done. You know what? In the first couple episodes of this podcast, I was kind of beating around the bush. Like people can make inferences to what they want to make inferences to. I'm kind of at this point where I'm done doing that.
Do you think you've been beating around the bush?
I mean, let me put it this way. I haven't been as direct as I probably could have been. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But you make a song called We Pray and it's vague as hell. And you perform on SNL like on October 6th or whatever it was. That's not a good look. That's not a good look.
Well,
And that's, you know, that stems from the top down. That stems from management. That stems from management.
let's agree to disagree on this point, because
Oh, tell me.
if my manager told me, hey, you need to do XYZ, and I didn't agree with it, I get it, but I also have the power to say no.
Oh, of course. I didn't mean it like that. I meant more like
Yeah.
that kind of attitude stems from, sorry, yeah. That kind of attitude stems from the top down. And when you establish a company or establish a label like Universal Arabic Music, and you establish yourself as Salon Co, and you out here saying, we're for the culture, we're for the culture, we're going to promote the culture, here's the culture in your face. But then you ignore everything and you don't say a word, even though y'all are Lebanese. Y'all can't be bothered to say anything.
Yeah.
Not even a word. You put up a Lebanese flag on your Instagram account, and like that's it. That's it. You can't say a word. You can't even like do something where you rally your artist to make a song for something, like I don't know, anything. Instead, you have one of your artists singing for the French government, and y'all just instead post on your Instagram story the French flag, the Lebanese flag, and you tag Emmanuel Macron. Bruh.
Yeah. Bruh, indeed. Bruh, indeed.
And you
Also,
out here, oh no, I'm not done. I'm not done.
oh,
I'm standing on business, Deana. I'm You know, that's the other thing, man. Like everybody's so quick to be the first. No one wants to be the best. Who cares if you're the first? Respectfully. And then like I'm sorry, but Eliana's fan account out here being like, let's make a distinction between who's Arab and who's not. Shakira is not Arab. DJ Snake is not Arab. French Montana is not Arab. So their success in music doesn't count like Eliana's does. Bro, I grew up in the diaspora in the United States. I heard that my whole life. You're not Arab enough. That's a slap in the face. Now, I don't know who runs those fan accounts. I have theories and I've heard things. So, you know, you make of that what you will. But that's a lot of BS coming from a fan account. We're all Arab enough. I don't care if you're 100% or 1/8. It doesn't matter. Also, just from a musical standpoint, it's factually incorrect to say that she's the first Arab to ever appear on the Billboard Hot 100, because Chef Mami was on the Billboard Hot 100 24 years ago with Desert Rose. So let's just call it what it is.
yeah. I've seen all of this, by the way, on Insta, and usually I'd be like, Danny, look at this, Danny. I've just been a bit like, who gives a flying fudge? Like, who cares? Like, seriously. And also, We Pray, on a side note, not a good song, in my opinion. Not a great song. And I've seen it being promoted so much. And everyone's been really excited that it's like, oh my God, Arabic with Coldplay. Da, da. And I'm just like, sometimes just having an Arab artist on a track doesn't mean it has to be successful. It goes back to our discussion about Future and Muhammad Ramadan. So what? You made a track with Future, so what? What impact did it have? What's it actually done? And I don't know, it just feels weird. Like everything just feels a bit upside down. Like there are some artists that I can tell creatively, either they're channeling what's happening to them into that musical outlet, or I can feel like their light is gone, you know? And I'm not sitting here trying to say like, you're not doing enough, because we even spoke about this before. What is enough? How do we measure if someone's doing enough? But it's more just like, read the room.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know what enough is. I don't know what artists are doing in their personal lives. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't follow them like that. I don't know them like that. I don't stalk them because that's a felony. But like, I don't do any of those things. So I don't know what they're doing in their personal lives. But publicly, especially for artists who are so micromanaged publicly and they've got this cookie cutter image, and you're positioned as this global Arab artist, then don't ignore us. Don't
Yeah.
just like dismiss us. You know, if you're going on tour right now, I get that artists have to go on tour. I get that artists have to go on tour. It's one of the few ways that they can make money because streaming doesn't really pay at all for
Yeah.
artists. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're going on tour, you have an opportunity to, you don't have to cancel your tour if you don't want to. I get it. Change up what the tour looks like. Use that as a space in all these venues to talk about what's going on. You know, maybe you say we're going to do an acoustic set, and we're going to do some more intimate songs, and then we're going to have a discussion as a group. I don't know. Like, reimagine what that looks like.
I also want to say that sometimes it feels like we're being so hard on Western artists because I feel like one of their USPs, although it's not unique anymore, is the fact that they're Arab but raised in the West. So I feel like that's why we maybe like lean towards judging them more. But there are also artists back home from Egypt, from all these different countries that are performing in countries that many would argue are complicit in what's happening, and are releasing music, not talking about anything either. It's not to say that it's just happening with our diaspora artists. It's also happening with artists from home as well.
100%. There are so many Egyptian rappers I could call out right now.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. And the issue is at least for me, I'm holding them to a higher standard because that bar was set by a white dude named Ben, who everybody else knows as Macklemore. That dude set the bar. Nemesis set the bar. Anise set the bar.
True.
Like, if they're willing to do everything that they've done, then in my head, there's no excuse for other artists, to be honest. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
And frankly, there's no excuse for other music journalists out there. You know, there are some that are trying, and I give them a lot of credit, and I love them to pieces. There are some that just tap in for the culture, and then that's it. As a journalist, you have to reflect society. You have to reflect what is going on. You have to tell stories. How many of you have written stories about Palestinian artists or Lebanese artists or Sudanese artists and what's going on right now? Yemeni artists. Pick one. Are you just writing about trends and like tapping in just so you can call yourself a baddie?
A what?
Like, a baddie. You know what a baddie is?
No, it is. I just wanted to make sure you said a baddie. Come on.
It's stuff like that, man. Like, use your talent, use your time, use your connections, tell that story. These are stories that also need to be told just as much as the other hype culture things that y'all want to do.
Yeah.
You know? And if you don't know who those editors are, if you don't know who those people are, hit me up because I am not shy about giving out contact information. I am not a gatekeeper.
That's true, by the way. He's not just saying that. It's very true. Because I actually said to Danny, I was like, think of how many people might have been trying to pitch stories and editors are either rejecting it because it's too complicated and controversial. And for those listening and not watching, I'm doing the inverted
Little finger quotes.
Oh, yeah. But then I also thought to myself, okay, well, if I wanted to do a story about something and these huge outlets are not taking it, the internet, I'll jump on and make a TikTok myself, you know?
100%. 100%. So that part of it kills me. It hurts. And then I see OG. It's always the OGs, man. The OGs, I feel like, are the ones that just, because they had to struggle more, frankly. So they speak up. But like, I see Narcy every day posting something, saying something, using his platform. Every day. I see Omar Effendum every day. I see Blue Pfeiffer every day. Zayn every day.
Zayn every day for sure.
Like,
that's someone who I feel like not her light is gone, but I feel like I know she's working on music and I know like she's been through some things, but I just feel like I can really feel what she's feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Weird times, man. I think also people think that this is a phase, you know, like how sometimes things happen and we all jump to social media and go, oh my God, free this, or oh my God, justice for. But it's like people don't realize this is an occupation and this is a a situation that needs to be changed, and it's not going to be a case of, oh, we can go back to normal in a few weeks, we can go back to normal and back to like partying and all this. This is actually the reality, and it's like something needs to change. And I think that's switched on for a few people and not for others, and I think that's why we're all in different places and judging each other. I know some people probably feel very apathetic as well in terms of, what am I going to do? What's me sharing going to do? What's me writing and explaining going to do? Because I've been doing it for the past year and nothing's happened. And now we're into Lebanon. Now we're into this. So what can I do? So as much as we're like talking about all the things that are annoying us, or that people are not speaking up or trying to benefit from our culture when it suits them, there is a lot that you can do. Like, we don't want you to like listen to this episode and feel like rubbish, but I think we do need to call people out. I think that's normal. You know, sometimes I feel like back in the day, you would just call people out and be like, that's not okay. And I feel like everyone's so scared of being cancelled that they kind of don't start these conversations.
It's not even just scared of being canceled. There are people that are scared of losing relationships with powerful people. People like proximity to power. And they're afraid of calling that power out because they would lose a lot of access. Now, for me, if I lose access to certain artists over this, I'm fine. I'm good. There are artists that are doing a lot and are using their platform. Okay. We shouted a few out. I'll shout out Saint Levant. I'll shout out Isam and Najjar. These kids they're doing it. They're doing it. And I will also simultaneously say, these global superstars, whatever, these celebrities, they're not going to save us. So
men,
they're not going to save us. They could post till their faces are blue. They're not going to save us. And we also got to hold ourselves accountable, like you and me, Deana. Like, I know I've slipped up. I know I've slipped up.
How?
I know that there have been moments where I've gotten desensitized and just moved forward. And that's also not okay. Like, if I'm going to sit here and hold people accountable, I have to hold myself to that standard.
Yeah.
And simultaneously got to hold you to that standard because you're my friend and you're my co-host in this. And like, that's who we are. And it's a burden that none of us asked for, but one that we have to carry.
So true. None of us asked for this. And it's just so hard to like carry on with life and trying to prove that someone's existence matters. And I can't like tell you how many times I've had people in my DMs being like, I'm super biased. So just in case you don't know, other than like talking about music and my work on radio, I'm also a journalist. And I'm reporting on the Middle East. I used to be on culture, on the culture desk, which was amazing. And then when October 7 happened, I got moved over and started doing hard news, which is something I'm not used to. And I still am not used to it. So I feel very like weird. It goes through phases where I'm like, oh, like, I don't know, it's my birthday, you know, and you kind of like live. And then you get that guilt, and it's like, oh, okay, I have to report on this now. So while I was doing that and enjoying my life, this person experienced this. And it's like the pain of having to constantly be like putting out these stories and facing criticism from people. Just because I'm from the Middle East, it means I can't report because apparently I'm biased, because I'm stating facts instead of saying stupid things like, no food has entered Gaza since October the 1st, as if it's like an imaginary wall that's stopping it from going in, instead of actually reporting the reality. But mainstream outlets can report what they want and no one like bats an eyelid. And then as soon as because I'm Arab, reporting on Arab issues, I'm not a credible source. And it is honestly a crazy experience to have to constantly explain why our existence matters, why suffering of people is not okay. And I don't know, it just like, I think it's like gotten to me because music used to be my escape. And I honestly, I'm not joking, in the last 3 weeks, I don't even want to hear it. And I find it weird, like I've become more sensitive to artists that share their releases, which is a reflection. I'm probably projecting because I'm angry at what's happening. I don't know if it's totally them. They do speak up, but sometimes it feels weird. It's like, stream my new single, and then it's like, oh, this happened. But don't forget to stream my new single. Let's get it to number 10 and all this. And I'm like, who gives it? I was going to swear. Who gives a monkey? Like, no one cares.
Who gives a monkey?
Who gives a monkey?
That's what you came up with?
Yeah, well, I couldn't say what I wanted to say.
Who gives a monkey?
gives a monkey? Like, I don't know. I don't know how like we can continue to measure what's enough. Like, when do we start feeling guilt-free? And when is it that we draw the line between artists promoting and artists selling out the culture, just selling us out? I don't know. I don't even know what point I'm making. I had a point to start with, but I've lost it. But yeah, man.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever feel guilt free. I don't know if we should ever feel guilt free. I don't
Yeah.
know, you know? And then the other thing, honestly, is like you can inherently tell to some degree who is doing things genuinely and who is doing things to exploit a situation. Right? Like I think on some level we're not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see it.
A lot more people on my timeline are now all of a sudden discovering their Palestinian and Lebanese roots, in terms of like, I'm not going to go too far into it, but people I didn't even know were like a third Palestinian. All of a sudden it's super trendy to talk about, and they're trying to use it, and I've seen it and it annoys me. So I know people are capitalizing on the culture. I can see it and I know it's happening.
But on the flip side, there are people that are discovering those roots for the first time. And that's
True.
also, and they're genuinely trying to understand this part of themselves that they either didn't know about or they didn't care to explore before for whatever reason. Like that's also a good thing. Like we need that too. We need people to also like dig into who they are. So it's happening. Like both of those things are happening. You know what I'm saying? Like
Genuinely, and it's like, oh my God, I used to
yeah.
say I'm cool, but if it's happening for some clickbait, then no, I'm not.
Well,
I'm
no,
not
if
down.
it's happening for clickbait, we're not about that. But like, you want to talk about impact, man? Like this whole thing of trying to be the first. Look, I can't remember the first person who ever sang tarab music. I can't remember the first person who ever performed tarab, but I remember the best person. And in my esteemed opinion, that's Kulthum. I can't remember the first person who ever shot a basketball, but I remember the best person who ever shot a basketball. And in my esteemed opinion, that's Michael Jordan. For other people, that's LeBron James. That's fine. That's what I'm saying is like, there's that like, that's what also needs to start happening is who cares that you're the first? You want to talk about impact. How many Grammys did Fairuz win? How many Grammys did Abdul Halim win? How many Grammys did Amr Diab win?
Can I say something?
Does that diminish their impact?
I'm really glad you mentioned 3 Egyptian artists, because I would have been
Oh
accused
my!
of
No,
bias.
Fairuz. I said
I have
Fairuz.
privilege.
I said Fairuz.
No,
You're not
okay,
trying
fine.
to claim Fairuz, are you?
No.
Whoa!
I said Kulthum, then you said 2 more Egyptian artists.
Oh yeah, I said Abdul
I said
Halim. I said Amr Diab. Yeah.
I'm just breaking the ice there and just being like, if I would have done that, Danny would have jumped on me and bias. Like,
How many Grammys did Cosmo Seher win?
But this is the thing. I think the diaspora kids are kind of like, they don't know the struggle of having to hide their music and not be able to vibe with anyone. And everything is different for them because they see themselves on TV. They've got Love is Blind Habibi. They've got this, they've got that. They've not experienced the same upbringing we have. So their vision is tunnel vision. They're just like, oh my God, diaspora. So yeah, exactly. You're very, very on the ball there.
And that's not to negate people who want to work toward those goals, but like, I'm not going to sit here and say that defines an artist, because there's impact that has been had that a Western institution cannot measure.
The reason we're frustrated as well is because we are in touch with artists from the region, but also artists in the diaspora, and we notice when something's tailored to a Western palette, and I think that's a trigger point for me. I don't want to speak for you, Danny, but I know when something's watered down for a specific audience and claimed as culture, and when it's actually just culture.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's we are gonna definitely like tell you guys about some resources if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I want to do more, you know, or what organizations can I like connect with. We definitely want to loop that in because we don't want anyone to feel like despair. This feels like a very like down negative vibe episode, but I think we're all just venting.
I think we're processing, man, and that's okay to process.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about people who are doing this well. I mentioned Narcy, I mentioned Offendum. You know, Nadina Ruby is doing these like Sudanese nights concerts. Like,
See,
that's
yeah,
her using her platform and her connections to do something for Sudan. Like, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, that's a way to do it.
yeah.
Um, and
There
we
are
need,
loads of, sorry to interrupt you. There's loads of like people in the UK as well that are doing like different fundraisers. You know, some people might not feel like dancing and going to an event, and I know that the trouble is trying to find a way to part with people's money. Um, and I know sometimes partying and fundraisers is the way to do it. I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable. I'm definitely one of them, simply because it just feels weird, like an alternate reality almost. Um, but there are definitely fundraisers in the UK. I'm proud to say that I've seen loads, and that's like almost every other weekend. Yeah, but definitely shout out to Nidina Rubi. I've been seeing her doing loads.
and there's so many more, man. Like, I don't know, like Dunya Shaban, who works for Sony Music, Mina, okay, posting every day about Lebanon, and
Mm,
you're an industry person.
mm.
That's great, you know. Bu Nasser posting about Lebanon every day. These are we need more of this. You know what I mean? We need more of like doing different things.
What?
Synaptic, man. Synaptic does it in his music. Like, it's stuff like that, you know.
Yeah,
Um, there are organizations like aside from the NGOs that you may have heard about and things like that to donate to, which they need all the help they can get. There are music organizations that are also doing work. Tune Fork Studios in Lebanon, trying to organize, trying to do different things. Radio Al Hara, always trying to do something. Like, I give them so much respect and love,
yeah.
truly. Um, there are spaces and places that are really trying and genuinely trying. And so we got to support them. We got to support what they're trying to do.
What's enough, Danny?
I don't know what enough is, Zena. We've talked a lot about people's public image and what they are or aren't doing. And we've judged a lot of that solely through social media presence.
Yeah.
You know, is that even enough? If you post every single day but then do nothing? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what enough is.
Yeah. And we don't know what people are doing in their own time. I
Right.
think it's just difficult for us not to weigh in when we're like connected to the music industry and see people benefiting. I think that's where it always comes down to. So I know it feels like we've attacked some people and labels and stuff, but it just doesn't make sense because our existence is never going to be separate. Like as much as I used to come into this and be like, oh my God, I really want to celebrate our culture and I really want to show what beautiful things we have. And I still want to do that. But more and more I'm realizing the reason I see so much about the Middle East is because our existence and our history is so intertwined with what we do. We can't escape it. And that might just be a reality for a really long time that we're not going to be able to escape it. So what are artists meant to continuously make music about their pain? Does this mean that other people can't move on with their lives? Like it's a very weird, we're in a very weird place.
But also, if you listen to this and you heard your name or you felt offended by what we said because we're calling things out, that's a reflection on you, y'all. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's a reflection on you, dog. Like, for me, at least, as Tupac once said, only God can judge me. I know what I'm doing. I know in my heart what I'm trying to do. And that's it.
But also come talk to us. Let's have a
No, don't
discussion.
talk to me. I don't want to
No,
talk to
have a
anyone.
discussion. No, like you're so shut the door. I'm like,
Yeah,
let
I am shut the door.
understand.
I say what I say. I drop the mic and I leave.
I want to hear understand and then shut the door because imagine if people didn't give you an opportunity to explain, even though sometimes things are super clear, there's certain explanations we don't need. But if you think we've called things out wrong, come talk to us.
My
Explain.
hunch is that we haven't, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not judging it. I'm not saying yes, we were wrong, but also doors open in it.
Dina's door is open. If you have any questions,
God,
direct them straight to Dina.
hey, I'm a credible journalist, remember? I have to listen to both sides.
Oh God. Let's not get into that conversation.
No, no, no. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we'll definitely put some resources up. Like as we said, we're not going to remember all of them off the top of our heads, but hopefully we'll be posting something just in case you're thinking, okay, I want to do more, or what else can I do? Um yeah, it's definitely a weird time to be existing
And
as
we will have more conversations along these lines with artists, with other folks. So stay tuned for more episodes where we will dive into this more thoughtfully from the creatives themselves, and you can hear from the creatives themselves. You'll hear episodes that were recorded, prior to everything, popping off in Lebanon. That have a little bit more of a different tone, probably. But if we were going to come back and do this, we wanted to record this episode and just share with y'all our frustrations, our emotions, lay them to bear. We're not right. We're not wrong. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, this is art. We are feeling how we're feeling. And you can't invalidate anybody's feeling. I can't invalidate anybody's feeling.
yeah. And as always, we always talk about wanting to build a community. And like so far, you guys have been amazing. And we want to keep that going, even if the conversation's not always about, exciting music or exciting events. Like we definitely still want to keep that community open. So carry on commenting and messaging us and telling us how you feel. We really enjoy engaging with you guys.
Well, thanks for listening to us. Thanks for being with us, being in community with us. And we'll see y'all next time.